In order to talk about the carbon cycle, we have to talk about two equations, which are photosynthesis and cellular respiration. There's another equation that we're going to talk about, and it's combustion, and you'll see in a moment why it is part of the carbon cycle. So let's see. When you have photosynthesis, you have plants. In their leaves, you have a chemical reaction. In the leaves, you have carbon dioxide molecules and water molecules coming from the roots. So this is from the air, this is from the roots, and then we need the sun. And the energy from the sun in the leaves, so the small organelles in the leaves called chloroplasts. So what happens is it's creating much bigger molecules. This one will be, for example, glucose. So this is a molecule that contains chemical energy. So the energy of the sun used to create the photosynthesis will, in a way, merge these smaller molecules into bigger one with chemical energy. And this will also have a waste gas, which is oxygen. So this is what we have with photosynthesis. Plants have been going on for hundreds of millions of years, and it is amazing. Now, what's interesting is that we also have organisms on the planet that need oxygen to live. So here, inside their cells, and the organelle is called mitochondria, we have a situation where we have glucose. So we eat sugar because sugar is an energy source. Sugar and oxygen that we inhale will create energy. So here I have plus energy. So we know that energy is being produced in our body. One example is our body heat, but also two waste gases, carbon dioxide and water. And you can see how the two waste products of cellular respiration are actually the two main reactants, the two main molecules to create photosynthesis. So there's a cycle that works from here, and then the two parts created in photosynthesis, there's glucose, but also different other molecules like cellulose, building blocks for plants, and oxygen here. And the oxygen is being used here. So in some ways, the energy from the sun in photosynthesis, which is transformed into chemical energy in sugar or glucose, is now taken into our body to create energy in our cells. So there's a big cycle happening right now, and that's quite exciting. So let's go and see the image I had earlier to see what we can learn from it. So the carbon cycle works with that. So first of all, as I mentioned, we have here carbon dioxide that is produced in absorbed in our environment. So we have plants here, we have wetlands, we have grass. So what happens is there's absorption of CO2. If you go back, 30,000 years, it was much more balanced because you had volcanoes creating CO2, you had decomposition and activity in the ocean creating CO2, you had fires, and you had organisms. But over the centuries, over the millennia, we have the human population that increased, and we've been using the energy. We've been using energy to transform our environment. So to create more food, we created machine. To be able to move around, we created modes of transportation, and also we created large factories to get the goods that we want. So here what happens is that you notice that yes, there is absorption of the carbon dioxide by plants, but it seems that over the centuries, there's an increase in how much carbon dioxide is going into the atmosphere. And you're going to see, where's that carbon from? Well, the carbon is from carbon reservoirs. And carbon reservoirs are places underground where, if you go back, a few hundred million years in the past, we were in a situation where carbon dioxide was higher in the atmosphere. There was a lot of plants, and because there was a lot of plants and a lot of vegetations, there was a lot of decomposition. So this organic matter created underground all the fossil fuels that we are using right now. It could be either natural gas, it could be crude oil, it could be coal. So all of these reservoirs, so in the past, we've taken carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through vegetation. Now we're using this chemical energy to move around, to create more food, and to have a good economy. But this is putting back carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that's tricky, and we have to be mindful that because it is a cycle, what can we do? So if we go back to the equations we had the photosynthesis taking away carbon dioxide, creating glucose, giving us oxygen. That's outstanding. We take this, we eat with food, and then we create carbon dioxide. So this is a good cycle because we produce energy in our body. But there's another equation we have to consider, and it's combustion. When you have combustion, you're using fossil fuel. So here you have an example of methane. Methane that you can burn with oxygen that you're creating carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And humans love energy. We use energy to move around. We use energy to transform our planet, to create new materials, to create new housing, create more food, because the Earth's population is increasing all the time. So we have two main equations here, both producing carbon dioxide here and here. And then we have only one process naturally taking CO2 out. And on top of that, because we do need space, so let's go back to our drawing here. We need space for manufacturers. So we are cutting trees. We are cutting trees, or therefore decreasing the photosynthesis, because the more people there is, the more housing we need. And therefore, it is all creating an imbalance with respect to carbon dioxide. Now, how is this change or affected by climate or climate changes? What happens is that the more carbon dioxide there is in the atmosphere, the more the heat, the overall heat is increasing. Now you have to be mindful here. I'm talking about carbon dioxide only as a greenhouse gas. Now, humans and nature are creating several other greenhouse gases like methane. We have also some of the nitrous oxide. You have several gases from containing nitrogen. And I don't want to talk about those here. But often we talk about carbon dioxide because it's easier. But these greenhouse gases contain many, many other options. So back to carbon cycle, we have more and more carbon going into the atmosphere, and therefore it increases the heat a little bit of our planet. And if it increases a little bit the heat in our planet, that means that evaporation, it means that wind patterns are changing in our environment. And if wind patterns are changing in the environment, that means in some places that used to get some rain will get a lot more rain. Some places which had a little rain could either have less rain or may at some point get more rain. So what happened here is that we have environments that are changing, and it is affecting humans. And the reason for that is that humans, we settle, we create cities, infrastructure. But if you have climate change where you have whole climates changing, our cities are not moving along climates. They are left in one place, and then the environment is changing a little bit at a time, and therefore humans are feeling stress about these climate changes. So that's something to look into. But the carbon cycle is a beauty. So let's see if I can show you here a nice little video. So here we have September 26th. So that's about where we are at. So this is a video that shows the carbon dioxide content in our atmosphere. This dates from 2006, but it shows more or less how the carbon dioxide will be in our atmosphere within a year. It is different in 2024, but it's very similar. So here, when we have a grayish color, we have some carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. If you have more, it turns into yellow and green. And if you have even more, it turns into red. So the reason why there's little carbon dioxide here in North America, for example, is that we have our summer that are ending. Lots of plants everywhere. We're doing harvesting. Things are beautiful. But as the fall is increasing, so here you could see the dates. Now we're at in October. We have less plants going on. The weather is getting colder. We have here in the States, we have the industries going. In Europe, North Africa, we also have here in Asia, lots of lots of things happening right here. So here we end up, and we have here in South America, we're getting into the spring. And here this could be created by fire. That's something to look into. But let's see. So we're in October, but see how the overall content of carbon dioxide is increasing in the Northern Hemisphere. And the reason for that is that we have our societies that keep on functioning, but we have less and less plants and nature present because we have our fall. Let's see if I can go back here. So I'm going back to January just to see the progression towards the summer. So then again, in January, this is the mid-winter for us. A lot less vegetation, so a lot more carbon dioxide here. So let's see if I can start. So as you can see, we have the air, the atmospheric movement, and we have carbon dioxide. If you're looking in South America, this is their summer, and it looks like a heartbeat here and here. The reason for that is that when it's the daytime, it absorbs the CO2, and at nighttime, it doesn't absorb it. So you could see how plants, you could actually see plants doing their work. So here we're in March, and we have a lot more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end of the world here in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm just saying here, so this is comparative differences in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So you could see there's a lot more here. And it's because we have the winter. We have our industries, our society are working hard at doing what we do best. Very nice. So here we get into April, and very soon we get into May, and then we have our spring coming. So as the spring is coming, we're going to have the trees that will bud, plants are coming back to life. So what will happen is that you'll notice that it will change on the northern part here because we have the summer that are starting. See how the color red is going away slowly. We have more yellow. And then eventually what will happen, the blues are coming. And here we are in June when we have our high season. So all towards the northern part of Europe and Asia, and in North America here, we have full-fledged summer. And you're going to see how amazingly we have nature that are taking again this, taking back the carbon dioxide and including them in themselves. So like carbon reservoirs here. It's kind of nice how it happens, and it starts into a cycle like this as well. So the reason why I think it's always interesting to see how it goes is that we have always cycles. And humans, with our activities, we are affecting these cycles one way or the other. But it's not a cycle where something happening in our home or in our city. These are global changes that can happen. It takes a lot of time to make those changes, and therefore it takes a long time to see, okay, how can we modify that? How can we at the source try to minimize the carbon dioxide we produce or any other gases that can affect the atmosphere? So these are some ideas from the carbon cycle. I hope that you will enjoy. If it happens you have any questions related to the carbon cycle, put your questions or comments in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to put a link here to another video related, this one, maybe this side. On this side, another video related to the environment, and let's see if we can learn something more. See you there.